Yes, please.
It's about this session.
Oh, okay. So our mentor.
He's joining.
Okay.
Ahmed has joined.
All right.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi.
I think we should start the session with an opening prayer from any volunteer. Any volunteer to pray for us before the session? Okay, I'll lead the prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for bringing us together for this mentorship session. We are very grateful for the opportunity to learn, grow, and share knowledge. We pray for wisdom, understanding, and meaningful discussions throughout this session. Bless our guest speaker as he shares with us, and may everything we do today be productive and inspiring. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Next, I'll call upon one of the members of the Visionaries group, Kevin, who's going to give us a background about the ZASS Foundation and the Visionaries before ushering in our guest speaker. Kevin, please go ahead and brief us about the ZASS Foundation.
All right. A good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
All right. I'm by the names of Wanblasi Kevin Joel. I'm a visionary and a member of the ZASS Foundation. I'm just here to give our guest mentee a brief overview of what the ZASS Foundation is about. Yeah, so that he knows what he's rolling with. So, as for the ZASS Foundation, as everybody else in the group knows, it is a foundation that was established in honor of our ancestry to create platforms for empowerment, education, sustainable livelihoods for our family and also for the community in which we live in. So it is a community thing and as well as a thing that is deeply based on family. The ZASS Foundation is also a legal entity. It is a registered company. It has a registration number. All that information can be found in the reports. But just to inform our mentor today is that he's dealing with a foundation that is very well registered and known by the government of Uganda. So this foundation runs on a mission. And its mission and vision are very well clear and are very well clearly set out as follows. For the vision statement of our foundation, the ZASS Foundation, it sets a united and empowered Zakayo Masamali family, preserving our heritage, fostering self-sufficiency, and driving sustainable prosperity for our future generations. Just to make sure that all of you know what I'm talking about, let me share uh, let me share with you these statements that you can know what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. So as the shared screen is coming up, I would like to continue with our mission. So our mission as the ZASS Foundation is to strengthen the Zakayo Samali family through economic empowerment, resource mobilization, and cultural preservation, ensuring unity, self-sufficiency, and collective growth. So basically, this foundation, its core principle of running is family. It is through the family that we are spreading this togetherness, the unity, and above all, trying to meet with our community and give back to them. So, as you can see from the shared screen, hope you can all see it. Our ZASS vision statement and mission statement are very well clearly stated out for anybody who wants to get a deep understanding of those two statements. So, under the ZASS, so
Kevin, we've lost you, or it's my side?
Kevin, we've lost you.
Is Kevin aware we've lost him?
Let me contact Kevin.
hope you guys can all hear me now again.
Yes, we're hearing you now.
Yeah, sorry for that lapse. I was still talking about the visionaries, and I was talking about how it is comprised by a group of the next generation of the ZASS family, the so-called Gen Zs. It was meant to bring us together to use our vibrant and very collaborative minds to put them to work to help this foundation grow. So among our core objectives as visionaries is the leadership development. We are building confidence, teamwork, and leadership skills among the young members. There's the unity and participation, where we deepen family bonds through active engagement in ZASS activities. Some of these ZASS activities are the session we're holding right now, which is the mentorship session. As you can see, it has brought most of us here together to get a deeper insight from our mentor who will introduce in a few. The mentorship and learning, it only speaks for itself. And also the leadership continuity. Currently, we have an EXCO group that is basically comprised by the old guys of the older generation, the millennials, stuff like that. But it will soon come into a transition phase, and to enable this transition to be smooth, to be passed on to the visionaries. The visionaries must be well trained and ready to take on that mantle. Hence, these various core objectives that the visionaries have to undertake in order to make themselves ready. So, this ZASS Visionaries group that is led by our chair, Maureen. I think Maureen is here. Yes, Maureen, you can wave to the people so that they know who you are, especially our mentor. Maureen.
Hello,
Yeah.
Maureen,
Maureen.
the leader of the Visionaries.
Yeah, that's her, Maureen Alufo. So, through her leadership, she's making sure that this next generation of leaders through the ZASS Foundation are ready. And this generation of leaders are going to be ready through various activities, and one of them is being undertaken today. And I'm glad to welcome our mentor today, Mr. Kenneth Tweheyo, who will further expound on himself as he comes to speak to us today and mentor us. Yeah, I hope everybody has a collaborative session. Please be cooperative. Ask where you need to find out stuff. Yeah. So, yes, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. I'm just wondering, I got a message from our chair. I'm not sure whether I should present it now or there is a time for that.
Please go ahead and present it.
Okay, is Mamadi online?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So, good evening, distinguished guests, members of the Executive Committee, our ZASS visionaries joining from around the globe, and the entire ZASS family. On behalf of the chairman of the ZASS Foundation, Mr. Sam Sakwa, who sends his sincere apologies as he is currently traveling back to West Africa on work commitments, I have the honor and the privilege of delivering his remarks this evening. I would also like to specifically recognize the presence of the executive members, committee members. I'm sure Mama D or Dr. Diana should be on her way joining. And we thank her for her continued wisdom, encouragement, and support of our visionaries. To all our members tuning in virtually from different parts of the world, thank you for making time to participate in tonight's mentorship session. Your presence reflects the strength, unity, and global spirit of the ZASS family. We are especially honored to welcome our guest mentor, Mr. Kenneth Tweheyo, I hope I don't butcher that name, from Uganda, the Uganda Communications Commission, for accepting to share his expertise and insights with us this evening. Now, open quote, here is the adopted chairman's remarks. Distinguished guest speaker, Mr. Kenneth T, members of the executive committee, our dedicated ZASS visionaries, and the entire ZASS family. Good evening, everyone. It gives me great pleasure as chairman of the ZASS Foundation to join you for this important mentorship session under the theme Professional Integrity and Consumer Advocacy in the Digital Age. First, I would like to commend the ZASS visionaries for their continued initiative and leadership in organizing meaningful platforms for learning, mentorship, and dialogue. Your commitment gives us great confidence in the future of our foundation. We are equally honored to host Mr. Kenneth, Consumer Affairs Manager of the Uganda Communications Commission, and we sincerely thank him for accepting our invitation to share his knowledge and experience. The topic for tonight is both timely and important. We are living in a rapidly evolving digital world where technology shapes education, business, communication, and daily life. While these advancements bring many opportunities, they also present challenges such as misinformation, online fraud, unethical conduct, and the exploitation of consumers. In such an environment, professional integrity becomes essential. It builds trust, credibility, responsibility, and ethical leadership. At the same time, understanding consumer rights and advocacy empowers us to navigate digital space wisely and responsibly. As a foundation, we remain committed to nurturing young people who are not only academically and economically empowered, but also principled, responsible, and socially conscious leaders. I therefore encourage all participants to engage actively, ask questions, and take practical lessons from tonight's discussion. The knowledge and values you gain today will help shape the leaders and professionals you become tomorrow. With those few remarks, I once again congratulate the Visionaries for organizing this excellent session and warmly welcome you all to what promises to be a very enriching discussion. Thank you, Mr. Samsakwa. Back to you.
Thank you very much for the message from the chairman, ZASS Foundation. It's now my honor to introduce our guest mentor for the day, Mr. Kenneth Tweheyo. Please go ahead and take us through the session.
Good afternoon and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The ZASS Foundation, the Executive Committee, and the representative of the chairman of ZASS Foundation, and all the visionaries who are here listening to me today. I'm extremely honored and glad to be here. Before I take you through the presentation, I really want to thank the team that organized this family. I was making some jokes to the person who invited me that it is very rare for Uganda and actually Africa in general, the families to make a foundation where all the family members gather and share ideas. So this is quite unique, and from the deepest part of my heart, I am here to really congratulate you. So with that, I will go through the slides. I prepared some slides based on the subject that was shared by the chairman, and I think it's better that we deep dive so that we can follow through. Thank you very much. Just give me a minute as I share. Share window. Are you able to see?
No.
Okay, just a moment. Is it sharing now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the subject of discussion today is about professional integrity and consumer advocacy in the digital age. And this subject really has been made quite simple by the chairman's speech. He really solved my problem. And when the person was sharing the message, I was really getting excited on every line that he was sharing. But nonetheless, we will go through, and I hope at the end we shall have some session where we can share, because I don't want to be, the only person talking. I believe the experiences I will share, some of you, the visionaries, will certainly connect, and you could have gone through them, because this is basically really what we go through on day to day. Yes, that's the banner, and thank you for putting up this together. So to know who I am, basically the name is there displayed.
We're not seeing the presentation itself.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was being seen. It is asking me to log in. You are not seeing anything?
No. Or could you please, I don't know.
Can I send it to one of you? And
Yes.
maybe you, can you WhatsApp me your email address? And then you share it from that side, and then you follow together.
Okay. Kevin. Is Kevin online?
I'm forwarding you my email.
Okay.
I think I've seen it. Is it Kevin Wandwasi?
Yes, please. That's the one.
Okay. Please confirm you received it.
Okay. Hasn't it reached? I haven't received it yet.
Has it come now? PPT.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Okay. Kindly share. So as Kevin is sharing, I was basically really talking about myself. It's also important when somebody is sharing, you really know his background. I have more than 20 years experience really in telecommunications, and specifically in marketing and communications. I started with the telecom service operators, what we popularly call the MNOs, and I've really rotated almost all of them. You go on the second page, Kevin, ranging from UTL days, those who were born. I believe there are some who can't even recall that UTL was a big operator in Uganda. Then to Worried. Then Worried, I moved to Orange. Orange, which finally also changed names later on, and then to Vodafone. And then after doing all of that, I moved to the regulator after amassing really enough knowledge from the telecommunications sector. So that is me. So much involved into marketing. And some of you who could remember the bundles on mobile, they initially we used to have a per minute calling, and then we introduced the bundles. And I was behind the corporate mega bonus, the first bundle that came on the market really in Uganda, and the per second calling across networks. Really, those are some of the contributions that I made, which revolutionized the sector. But then later on, I moved to the regulator and started managing issues dealing with competition, competition for the service providers, but also protecting, the consumers, especially not to be, duped by these service providers. It's an activity really that I have handled for quite some time until I moved to consumer protection unit, where I am in charge of, consumer affairs, an area that deals with advocacy and awareness programs for the consumer. Thank you very much. But on top of that, of course, I'm a social worker. I like running, basically special long distance. And if you want me, you can't miss if there is any kind of, marathon, whether in Uganda or even international, I usually participate. Yeah, so we can move on. I am a father, and I'm married basically to a lady. These days you have to be specific. Please, Kevin, go on, so that you go on and we deep dive. So the discussion today, if you are very, very attentive from the chairman's speech, he mentioned about the digital transformation. Previous slide, please. The digital transformation, how it has revolutionized the way we do our businesses. Basically, it has reshaped communication, e-commerce, and almost everything that we do basically runs around digital communications. So what does that mean? Consumers today are more connected. They are more informed. In fact, we have reached a level where we don't need the news media, the traditional media, to give us news. I personally, I no longer buy newspapers, and I believe most of you certainly have followed suit, because by the time you get a newspaper, you have already received the information running on digital platforms, social media, and all that stuff. And that means that everyone today is actually a journalist. But remember, this can be a double-edged sword. We used to depend on the journalists who were trained they had ethical conduct. You know, this followed a certain order. But today, whoever gets anything, they just share the way they want. People just share when they're in salons, eating food, even at home, doing anything. And when that information comes, sometimes it's not verified. You may not really understand the integrity of that information that you are sharing. So we used to really depend on these journalists because they are gatekeepers. By the time they publish on the main media, they have done all that work for us. But today, no much work is done and people are just sharing as they wish. Now, that means that professional integrity will need to come in at this point, so that the information you are sharing is trusted and following some certain ethical standards. So integrity is really key. But what are we trying to mean? Let us deep dive into some numbers and figures so that we can understand how we've really moved. Go on the next slide, Kevin. I share some figures from the UCC, what we see in the back end. And we usually publish these reports in case any of you, the visionaries, want to have some of them, you can always reach out. We are talking of 57 million registered subscriptions. As you can see, these numbers are even more than the population in Uganda. So we are talking of people owning 2-3 mobile and other gadgets. And of that, when you go down on the people who are using internet, 18.5 million. So when you look at those numbers, it can give you a proper picture. People make calls, of course, they are still talking, and the numbers are there. In a quarter, you are looking at around 21 million minutes for calling or within the networks, and across networks, you reach 1.8 billion. But just look at the data, the GBs that we are downloading. In a quarter, 332 million GBs that Ugandans are downloading. But of course, this is powered by the smartphones, where you have 20 million of them. The towers are almost covering the whole country, over 5,000 towers. And as you can see, even in terms of fiber, many homes today are getting really connected on home internet. So all these things add up to power the communications that we have. And I will, as we go into the slides, I will try to bring in these numbers, trying to relate what actually all these numbers mean. Of course, mobile money is there, and I believe all of you certainly, if I'm not mistaken, you are using mobile money. So today, a device is not only a communications gadget, but it does everything. It does the bank, it does business, just like the chairman really clarified in his opening remarks. Kevin, go to the next slide. So let us understand professional integrity, which the chairman gave me. Integrity simply refers to, having commitment to honesty, transparency, accountability, and of course, looking into the issues of ethical consistency between professionals and actions. Usually when you are making decisions, you need to have the issue of integrity. But what we've observed, and believe certainly all of you could be picking, is we tend to confuse integrity with ethics. Integrity with ethics. So Kevin, if you go on the next slide, I tried to really deep dive into professional integrity and ethics so that when we are discussing, we are on the same page. Integrity is something internal, self-driven, while ethics is basically external. So when you are sharing in whatever you do, or when you're on these digital platforms, there is where The commission, for example, the UCC comes in to regulate the content you put on digital platforms, but we also expect you as an individual to really take some caution in terms of integrity. Integrity is a personal moral character that comes with honesty, and it focuses on doing the right thing. Basically, what you do without being supervised. You know, it's just about your internal behavior, and it builds trust, credibility, and accountability. So basically, you don't need a supervisor when you are a person of integrity. It means you're a person of character. Well, ethics could refer to the rules or the standards or the principles. For example, the ZASS Foundation, you can come up with the rules, the standards on how you want your people to communicate, the visionaries, how they should behave, how you want the family to pick a certain kind of culture, because as you mentioned, that this is a foundation based on your ancestors. So you want to make sure that you don't lose your culture and your ancestors are happy. And therefore, as we are going to discuss these slides, we are going to be looking at the issues about your internal behavior, and then basically on how you can also, maybe at the end of the session, we can agree that the visionaries could come up with a certain document that will guide in terms of conduct and make sure that every member is basically compliant. Go to the next slide. So, consumer advocacy in this digital era, what does this mean? As a regulator, for instance, we have to protect consumers because they have rights. And therefore, we have to make sure that those people on these digital platforms are protected. And how do we do this? Of course, you have to protect the consumers by ensuring that there is access everywhere you go. Today, we are talking of the obligation that we give to the licensees of 90% coverage. And in terms of coverage, I talk of the geography, whether you are in the water, you are in the on the lake, in the forest, wherever, even if people are not anywhere, you should have access. And then we have to make sure that there is, the information that is moving on these platforms, where I mentioned that today everyone is a journalist. We have to make sure that the information that is moving around is accurate. And indeed, there should be fair treatment of all as we promote the digital inclusion agenda. Next slide, please. As I mentioned that the digital age comes with its own challenges. Of course, there are positives and negatives, like the chairman mentioned. Today, we have the issue of cyber fraud and identity theft, fake news, misinformation. All this is happening, and I believe these terms are not new to you, the visionaries. The data privacy breaches, misuse of your consumer information. These are the things that basically really we face on a day-to-day basis. As the world gets more digitized, you expect people to start using basically digital to do whatever they want to do, both good and bad. But what I have listed here are some of the challenges that we've really been observing from the regulatory side. But of course, you, the users, I believe you can even make this list grow bigger and bigger. But importantly, what I wanted to pick, there is the last 3 points, especially addiction and time wastage. Sometimes you go to some homes, you find the child has a tablet, another one has a phone, the parents are on devices, and there is no communication in homes. This again actually goes even at workplaces where people really take a lot of time on these digital platforms and impacting the work outputs. But as if that was not enough, of course, we have experienced some mental health challenges, especially in the younger people. And of course, the cyberbullying and online harassment, which mainly is really for the younger people. I know some old people are really being cyber harassed. We cannot deny this. So if we are talking about consumer protection in this digital era, what are we trying to mean? What are we trying to do? If Kevin can take us to the next slide. You know, almost everybody talks about consumer protection. Consumer protection, you have to protect the consumers. But what about you, the consumer? You have a big role. Before any other agency comes to protect you, you should first protect yourself. I personally have been running campaigns across the country, talking to different consumer advocacy organizations on radios and TV, telling people about the issues of being responsible on digital platforms. People just go on digital and do whatever they want. And I think this message, ladies and gentlemen, what we are sharing here, you also help me to amplify and talk to your fellow friends, and especially the younger people. If you receive something on your phone, just take a precaution that as soon as you share it, you are responsible to and answerable to what you've shared. And this is the biggest challenge, actually. We are talking of consumer protection in the digital age. People don't know that actually when you share, and it is in the law, by the way, the moment you start sharing and you have not done, you have not picked the facts, you have to be ready that you have to be responsible for whatever you've shared. Very important. And the message we always pass around is think before you click. I don't know if some of you have been receiving links on your phones, especially people sharing in groups like this, and sometimes actually being shared by some group members. Somebody says there is money from World Bank, you can click, and they add it with some sweet, nice words. And because you members, you see, for example, it is coming from Kevin, and he has shared it on the group. At the end of the day, you will find that 80% of the group members have clicked these links. What happens? You find that the link is actually having other encryptions at the back end, and that's how people actually how the fraudsters end up hacking your devices. You've seen scenarios where somebody hacks into your WhatsApp, and then when they hack on your WhatsApp, they actually enter into the entire phone, go into your pictures, even change your profile, and then they start sharing and asking and soliciting for money from the family, friends, and other family members that so and so has gotten a problem. And when you see a message coming like that, in fact, you think it is a genuine request from your colleague, and immediately you start sending money. People have been freezed through these channels. Of course, I already mentioned that you should verify before you share. So when a link like this comes, please don't rush. Sometimes when something is too good to be true, then certainly it will not be true. So you as a consumer, we expect you to be transparent and ethical. Protect your information and your identity. Because today, if you just expose yourself, I will give you an example, because I know when Kevin was giving introductory remarks, he said that the Visionaries is full of, you know, the Gen Zs who are going to take over the business of ZASS. Clearly, you agree with me that the more senior people that you have on the group tend not to expose themselves as much as the younger people do today. So we are really too much exposed. We like sharing. Our fingerprints are hungry for these devices. When you take a picture, I have heard people saying, man, I have taken enough beautiful pictures, I can't let them die in the gallery. But you forget that the moment you are sharing, you are leaving your identity. And in case somebody actually wanted to harm you, today, it is very, 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 very easy. We are talking of protecting your consumers, but the consumers are busy exposing themselves because of the digital platforms. And as regulators, this is the biggest challenge that we have. You are protecting somebody, but the people you are protecting, they are out there exposing themselves. There is a footballer called John Terry. Those of you who watch football, John Terry was attending, is a British guy, was on holiday in Iceland with a family, and he took pictures. And the fraudsters and what we call the buffers actually basically, after checking on his social media handles, they were sure that John Terry was not at home. They went home and vandalized and carried almost everything. But because of the sophistications of the UK system, they were apprehended. When they appeared in court, a UCC head of legal was actually in the UK that time. He was the one who was sharing this story with us, that the people who had entered John Terry's home confessed in front of a magistrate that they were following John Terry because of the digital evidences that he was leaving behind on the social media platforms. They said they were seeing everything. They knew the day he left because they updated. While he was there, he was busy updating, and it was very, very easy for them. This is the lesson, because this is not really about the America. This is here today. We see it every time. People are in bars enjoying, they are busy updating the status. And if you want really to harm them, you just know that so and so is now enjoying at this and such a hangout, and you just go and wait for him at his home. So as we protect you, it's our duty. Consumer protection is the duty of the Communications Commission, but we also really request the consumers to protect themselves. Reading and understanding the terms and conditions is one of the things that people actually don't bother. You know, when people are borrowing money, for instance, they just borrow. They don't even read the terms and conditions. Today we have micro lending on phones, borrowing from MTN and Airtel. I believe some of you have, have access to those services, which are really good, very, very good. But the danger here is that people actually don't read the terms and conditions. They start complaining that the interest is high. When they when they get money and they have delayed to pay back their debts, money is deducted, and they start complaining. I don't know if some of you have really seen these scenarios, and it is not only on the mobile networks, even in the banks. You go to the bank, they tell you sign here, because the terms and conditions, the document is so long, you just sign and your interest is taking the money. But usually, there is something behind these terms and conditions. And we always tell people, as we are protecting you in this digital age, as you are borrowing money digitally, could you take some time to read the terms and conditions? I can tell you, the Visionaries today, when you ask people if they know who actually lends them money, for example, they will tell you MTN and Airtel is the one lending, but they're actually borrowing from banks and from money lenders. For instance, Wewole on Airtel is actually from the Wewole as a money lender, who is guided by the money lenders' regulations. But many people don't understand. And the money lenders, the way the terms and conditions are very, very clear. But when somebody is borrowing, they just borrow and take. And another scenario that we observed, there are some, these a number of apps that are giving out money. They send you a message that you can get 1 million or 2 million in no minute, no security is required, no nothing. Then you keep clicking. They ask you, do you allow this app to access your email and all? You click. Do you allow this app to access your photo? You click because your interest is on money. By the end of the borrowing, you find that you have actually exposed your entire device to the third party. Now here, trick here comes when they are collecting money, collecting debt. The behavior is when things now become haywire. They start calling your friends who didn't know that you even borrowed. They even reach a point of threatening you because they have access to your photos where you have been compromised in some area, because sometimes these photos are private. And you can imagine when a money lender sends you a picture of yourself in a compromised position, and he tells you, if you don't pay this money now, if you don't pay back your debt, I'm going to publish this photo on social media. That is what is happening today. So we are here talking of, consumer protection in the digital age. But let the consumer first protect himself. When you are clicking these things, look at the terms and conditions. Ask yourself, if somebody is giving you money, why is he picking interest to enter into your device? Why is he picking interest? Because again, integrity is not there. The other person is about money. It's just a commercial. It's a commercial entity. For them, they use all channels to collect the money. But again, in terms of integrity, you as a person, when you are borrowing, how come you don't want to pay back? We have people who borrow, but there is no integrity at all. I hope on the Visionaries we have everyone here has integrity. I hope on the Visionaries we don't have people who say, please don't send money on this number, send on this one, because one bambanja. Integrity, ladies and gentlemen, integrity. You borrowed money, now you don't want to pay back, and you are telling somebody to pay on another line. So I was telling my colleagues the other day, imagine somebody is trying to borrow from you, and he tells you that you send on this other number, the other one Wajibanja. How sure are you that this person is actually going to pay back? Because it's already showing his character, that this is a person of no integrity at all. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are saying, as we protect you from government side, you also have a role to protect yourself. And please remember and take note that whatever you put on internet does not forget. So when you get information and you just forwarding, maybe you announce people that they have died when they haven't died, you are the one who's publishing fake news, or you are sharing hate speech, you write and say, I hate Baganda, I hate Indians. The next day, you go to the embassy. These embassies actually now go deep into your social handles because they know that people are reckless when it comes to the digital platforms. People are reckless. I know people who have actually lost jobs because of social media. People who have missed to get job opportunities because of the information they have shared on social media. So ladies and gentlemen, as we use these digital platforms, let us be men and women of integrity. Next slide, please, Kevin. I'm about to finish. Kevin, next slide. Now, when it comes, is Kevin still there? Momo.
Let me text him. Kevin, are you still online?
So, you know, these are the
No,
things.
Digital
Digital platforms are also interesting. When you're attending meetings online, sometimes somebody can go off, he makes a cup of coffee, you think you are still together, because we believe that everyone, of course, is of integrity, and but sometimes things can get hayway.
No, actually, earlier on he was saying that his laptop, the battery was low, so I don't know. I don't know if he managed to charge. Kevin?
Okay, so I think we can, I have the slides here. We are really about to finish. So like I must say, I was mentioning that just don't take note that internet does not forget. And people who are in hiring, the HR firms, the embassies, Interpol and police, they tend to actually check your integrity using these digital platforms because they know many people just expose themselves and you can miss a very big opportunity because of what you've shared on the internet. So what are we doing as a regulator, basically? So for UCC in particular, and an area that I oversee, we do policy and regulation. In this, we are looking at child online, safety policies and guidelines. We set standards for the service providers in terms of what content can be shared, what can be shared on TV, and at what time. For example, adult content, in some people it can be bad, but it can also be good for others. So when you come to the commission, we ask you to share your program lineup, and then we guide at what time the content can be, for example, on TV. If it is past midnight and everyone is going to sleep, certainly maybe in some scenarios, it can be allowed. We monitor harmful and illegal content that runs on these platforms. We have a whole team basically that really looks into what is shared on social media platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and usually we pick such a kind of content and we share it with the app developers. We have MOU. That's why you see sometimes the content goes out and you go back to check it has already been put down. We enforce the content quality content that runs on all broadcasting platforms, radio and TV. I believe you've been watching some, presenters, being put to order. But of course, like I mentioned, the digital era keeps, it keeps us in check as on the side of regulation. Today, for example, the TVs and the radios, know that they are being monitored, and therefore they follow the minimum broadcasting guidelines. But these presenters now have again moved and created their social media pages and podcasts. And these podcasts have even more followers than even the TV programs. So this is already a challenge that we are observing. And very soon we are going to make a pronouncement, because somebody, when he's on TV or on radio, he knows the minimum broadcasting guidelines. But now when he goes into social media, he changes completely and becomes a different person. And yet social media, especially the younger people, are all glued on social media. They are on these applications. So as a regulator, again, in terms of consumer protection, we are coming up with the guidelines, and very soon we shall make a pronouncement. For instance, one of the ideas being presented is that if somebody has more than 200,000 to 300,000 followers, then it should really be a broadcaster, and you come to the commission to get a license. I'm not saying that we have reached at that level, but very soon you will see something coming up. Digital platforms have become a bit of a problem, a bit of a big problem. We do a lot of investigations of cybercrime and exploitation. We have an entire team basically that monitors social media, and a team that handles cyber, what we call SAT. So we have a team of engineers that can deep dive and enter into the details of when you bring a complaint. We can actually go deeper and check and follow the patterns on how a crime was committed. Then we conduct a lot of awareness and capacity building. Like I mentioned in the beginning, that I've been traversing the whole country, really sensitizing consumers on how they can stay safe online. I am planning to do another round next month, teaching students, communities, and certainly some of you certainly will be part of the engagements. So we have consumer protection and complaints channels. We have a fully-fledged call center actually at the commission, where you can report in case you've been harassed on these digital platforms. Please, you let us know, and we can take action. Next slide, please. I think this should be almost coming to an end. Yes, so digital ethics and responsible conduct, like I mentioned, expect that people's privacy, data protection is in place. And today, in fact, especially the younger people, they use AI. They can manipulate, they can actually put you in a compromising position. Sometimes, even on our side as regulators, you see something, you first ask, is this actually true? Is this? Somebody can get a one Trump and he makes him dressed like a pope. You can't believe what digital platforms have brought in place. But basically, the whole message we have in here is that, as people are using these platforms, make sure that as you engage, there is some kind of fairness, non-discrimination. This is on the side of the regulator. And we tend to ensure that we push for, transparency when they dispensing the services. Please, next slide. Groups like this, or maybe organizations, you can pick best practices. Like I mentioned, since ethics usually go with the policies set in order to coin a certain culture, then the ZASS, you can decide to put up a code of conduct. And you can agree and say, for us, this is how we tend to communicate. And communication could follow a certain channel to ensure that there is consistency in messaging, to make sure that there is fact-finding before sharing, to avoid misleading information. So basically, these are some of the things that you can, as a group, like the ZASS group, you can, put up a code of conduct that will guide, especially the Gen Zs, who you want basically, groom and coin to behave into the cultures of your ancestors. Next slide, Kevin. Okay, so what does the future look like? Digital ecosystems will continue to expand across all sectors. Just know we are not going back. Everything is going to be digital going forward. Since everything is going digital, we have to preach the message of integrity. So integrity and advocacy will definitely remain central for sustainable growth of these digital ecosystems. Emerging technologies require adaptive, ethical, and regulatory approaches. And as a regulator, from the regulatory angle, we tend to really emphasize the issue of ethical standards. Next slide, Kevin, as I conclude. So people who are so biblical, I believe we have a lot of broccoli in this wonderful foundation. Word the Bible. Integrity is actually biblical. So if you're a broccoli, it means that your life must actually run on the principles of integrity. Proverbs 10:9 talks about integrity. Proverbs 11:3, it talks about integrity. Titus talks about integrity. Job, remember the popular Job in the Bible? Till I die, I will not deny my integrity. So integrity is actually a core principle of a Mrokole. And I put this slide intentionally to connect with the people who read the Bible here on the group, because myself, I'm a Mrokole as well. Next slide, please. So what is the conclusion here? Professional integrity is the foundation of the credible digital age. Consumer advocacy will always ensure fairness, protection, and empowerment. And together, consumer advocacy and integrity will create a trustworthy and an inclusive digital future. Ladies and gentlemen, just like I started, I'm ending with this quote that digital era is indeed a double-edged sword. It has come to make life easy, but if we are not people of integrity, it can actually become a disaster. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenneth, for the insightful presentation. We really, really appreciate your remarks and guidance, and we shall take your advice seriously as we continue to grow as the ZASS Visionaries. So anyone with a question or contribution is welcome to participate. Questions or comments or any contribution? Yes, Kate.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tweheyo, for this great presentation. I think it's actually timely given the current trend of things, and it's not something we can overlook with the advancements of technology. I think definitely integrity plays a very big role with the way we are seeing how the trend is going. I think you mentioned something about deep fakes, which is something we see now a lot, especially with the advancements of AI. It's hard to tell these days between what is authentic and what has been generated by AI, and they keep getting better by the day. I just wanted to ask something in relation to, I think you had talked about potential regulation that would be coming up by UCC. And I just wanted to ask how this would impact, especially the young people, in terms of innovation and allowing them to freely express themselves, but also how to ensure that there is still integrity without reducing the authenticity of the people, because there's it affecting people who are trying to actually grow in the industry or make, I mean, these days being an influencer is an actual paying something. So people are trying to actually benefit or build their brands, but it would be different from someone who's already a celebrity and they have already that big following. So especially for the young people who are trying to grow, how would you ensure, especially with possible regulation, that they will still maintain their own authenticity, really? That's it.
Thank you. Moderator, you can guide. Should I come in now?
Doing what? Yes.
Yes, please, you can come in now.
I can come in now? Yes. Thank you, Kate. Indeed, what you're asking is genuine concern. And, you know, societies, human beings actually don't like being, you know, monitored or supervised, because by the time we ask you to come, it may not be a license, but we usually call it an authorization. People think that now we might end up stifling your innovation, really. But this is not the case, Kate. Look, you see, these influencers have become so popular. In fact, some influencers are more known than the media houses where they work. You will agree with me. There are some influencers who have started podcasts and you find the followers are so many, and the podcast today is as good as a TV. In fact, because it is social media and they can, you know, talk the language that their followers tend to connect with, in the process, they might actually go overboard. I don't know, Kate, if you understand what I'm saying. Sometimes people are trying to create content in order to get followers. And the content they are putting out there may not be, you know, good for the community. So if today we are saying the TV channel this, when you put this information, the commission comes in, and the presenter moves from the TV and goes on social media. And now he starts doing the things he wouldn't have done on mainstream media. I think it's just fair that we come in and start controlling to ensure that at least there is some kind of integrity. You don't attack your neighbors. You don't abuse. The language you use is good for everybody, so that there is some kind of order and control. That's what I'm saying. But definitely, we will for sure consult the stakeholders. Usually, when we are doing our regulations and guidelines, we get people in the room. We really consult. Far and wide. So certainly, it will somehow, impact on the innovation, but we believe that it will be for the betterment of all of us. Thank you, Kate. I hope I have attempted to really attend to your question.
Yes, you have. I know some of those really gray areas as well. When you talk about probably what is acceptable, because I think maybe as a country, the regulator yourselves, you've already decided this is maybe a standard, which I think it really makes sense, of course, for some type of content. But I was just looking at it in terms of, I feel like the young and upcoming influencers, they've not yet monetized anything probably on their sites. And some of this content is really viral content just to get people on the channels. And maybe if they've monetized it, I think it would make more sense to probably license them or something. But anyway, that's just made sense.
Yeah, true. We just want to make sure that they follow the basics. We have the broadcasting standards, which are really so basic. But as you know how Ugandans and younger people be, sometimes what you think is good may not be applicable on the other side. Sometimes the language they use, our minds are a bit tuned to, those hilarious things. And if we don't regulate them properly, it can be a problem. But yeah, so it is something you are planning to do. Definitely, we shall do a lot of consultations with whoever is in the industry and see how we can get, a fair, a fair regulation, something that can fit, allow innovation to flourish without really stifling it, but also ensuring that there is some kind of order and good conduct on the digital platforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kenneth. Anyone else with a question?
Oh, Momo, can I come in?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you so much, our guest. This is Sam. I've just connected in the last maybe 5 minutes, but I got the tail end when you were concluding. But I'm sure we have taken the recording. I will take time and listen to the recording. However, I had my issue, which may not necessarily be for the visionaries, but it's an issue touching the fiscal policy in Uganda. We have seen innovation, use of digital platforms to transform how we do business. I've seen promotion of use of MomoPay, for example. We have seen mobile transactions. But before this catches up, we have seen also government coming up with the heavy taxation on the same transactions, rendering the platform too expensive to use. I'll give you an example. When you go to the airport, you can either pay cash or use an app and pay for the parking for the time you have been at the airport. Now, the cost of that transaction is so high if you are using the digital platform compared to paying physical cash. And yet the world now is moving towards a cashless economy. I would have expected that the policies in government and probably using your office, your mandates, you would advise government to promote the use of digital platforms and shift the economy towards the cashless, because that's the way to go. It is cheaper. You don't print paper notes. You don't have a lot of risks carrying money around. But instead, in Uganda, we are making it so expensive. What's your take on that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. That question is, it has really been asked on several forums, and definitely it is a really concern to the consumer. And we are working really, really so hard to see how this can go down. You know, when mobile money was coming in Uganda, if you recall, it came around 2008, 2009, and then the regulations, actually government just watched, you know, because sometimes as a regulator, you don't want to stifle innovation. Sometimes, you know, regulations usually follow innovation. So you let things first move, and then you are able to craft a very good and proper regulation. So when mobile money came in 2008, 2009, the regulations, the first regulation on mobile money actually came close to 7 years later, around 2015. Basically now, as a government, you have studied, you've seen how things are working, and you are able to intervene properly. Now that the mobile money as a service has grown in leaps and bounds, things have started also changing from the side of the regulation. One, it's about moving mobile money to the banking sector, because now mobile money is regulated by the Bank of Uganda. But of course, the UCC comes in to do a cross supervision because of the platforms that this mobile money run on. The platforms, here I talk of the SIM card itself, we are talking of the coverage, we are talking of, you know, all that stuff. As UCC, we can't run away from it. But then when it comes to the real money now, it's the Bank of Uganda. However, we work together so closely with the Bank of Uganda. And one of the discussions we've been having on how to bring down the issue of cost is having a national switch that will allow easy interoperabilities across the different, you know, ecosystem. Because today, for example, we're talking over the airport, there is a third party. In this case, it would be the technology company that is powering the cash collection at the airport. And because of that, and we find that MTN in its own or Airtel may not be able to do this work themselves. But when you have a switch where everyone is going to be plugged on and is owned by the state, then we hope that the cost will go down. However, Mr. Sam, I want to tell you that when it comes to the issue of taxation is usually passed in parliament, and it comes to, actually, the people we vote for are the people who are passing such a kind of, you know, whatever. Because when the Minister of Finance is looking for money to to fund the budget, UCC and the Bank of Uganda definitely will come in. We urge you. We've had several engagements with the Minister of Finance on the issue of taxation. But then the challenge here comes in also trying to look for different alternatives where they can get money. The basket is small, is not yet expanded. The budget requirements are enormous. and then it reaches the parliament, the people that will also vote, instead of putting a roadblock, they just pass the budgets. Because you see, Sam, I am also a user. I am really highly impacted. I park the car at the airport. Sometimes I come back, I find myself paying almost 100,000, and part of that is actually big in tax. So this is my thinking is, as we do our part, let the voters also do their part, so that the information reaches their members of parliament to also look at the policies that go through parliament. But yeah, like I mentioned, of course, you agree with me that where we started from is not where we are today. Sending money like across networks was a challenge. And we reached the point and ask the question, if you are sending 1 million, why should it actually even have a different cost of somebody sending 500,000? Because this is just a system that is delivering money across. So we've reached a point to discuss with the service providers where a flat fee, for example, has been reached over 1,000 shillings. These are some of the things that come in. So definitely, we are not seated. We hope that with the different discussions that we have and the switch I have talked about, because it is now in an advanced level of procurement, if the switch is put in place, it will bring down the cost, even if the tax is still there, but at least the cost itself, the base of the cost, will drastically go down. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think I hear you, and I believe that if we continue talking about it as technical people and prepare proposals that go to parliament based on informed positions, then the politician won't have any leeway but to approve what the technician has submitted to parliament. It starts with us, the technical people. But I hear you, our tax base is small, but using your good offices and using the examples surrounding us, we shouldn't be the laggards. We shouldn't be people falling behind the trend in East Africa, for example. In Kenya, all transactions, even the mama mbogas, what are all digital. You know, you wonder why here, if you pay somebody using mobile money, you must top up with the withdrawal fees, simply because this trader has no other way of dispensing the money than withdrawing before he can spend. So I think it's we need to talk. We shouldn't give up, and we should as much as possible use possible means to sensitize those who end up with such proposals that instead derail the growth of technology and the impact of digital platforms in doing business in Uganda. Thank you so much.
Agreed, Bwana Sam, and definitely, surely, the discussions will continue. We hope and we dream that we shall reach a point where, like the example you are giving in Kenya, where actually in Kenya cash is becoming a problem. Every time I'm in Nairobi, I leave there a lot of money because I don't have a Kenyan number, and every time I use Uber, I pay, you find I need to pay, let's say, 70 Kenya shillings. When I pay, the Uber man says I don't have balance. Me, I use mobile money. Whatever you go to buy something, a drink, there's no, so you keep leaving 20, 10, 30, 20. By the time I leave Kenya, you find I have left substantial, a lot of money because everything is digital. And we hope surely that it's a dream. We hope so that we shall get to that point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My phone.
Thank you. Anyone else with a question? Anyone else with a question?
Maybe, Maureen, I can also
Maybe just one. Sorry, if I may come in with something else. I don't know whether it was discussed how UCC is working with the educational institutions to really pimp up this Bernard, this very good avenues of creating businesses. People are not so much aware. You go through the universities or the UCCs, but you don't get a feel that the syllabus is also being adjusted. So I don't know what you are doing about that. Just off question. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, that's also a really good question because we are carrying out a campaign on child online protection, and we are using schools and specifically using debate, where because of the debate, we felt that if for us to keep going to schools and we talk and sensitize, sometimes these younger people are good. They can even explain to their fellow peers better, what we call peer-to-peer. So what we've done in our debate series, we bring in the concept of business e-commerce on digital platforms, and it becomes part of the the themes for the younger people to debate on, as a way of inculcating the idea of using technology for business. But I totally agree with you. Indeed, in the first edition we had, we picked some interesting insights. The young people, these kids, told us that for them, what they have is, I think they call it ICT. And it is more generic. It is not tuned to give them ideas on how these applications can actually be used. So we picked it up, and we are guiding schools now. We have the second phase of the debate series coming in July, where we intend to ensure that the message that is running across in schools, and usually we target in each region, we target close to per session, we take around 20 schools per region. And when you look at the number of kids in those schools, sometimes you find a school has more than 2,000 kids, so you can do the numbers. Then also, the information we pick from such a kind of engagements are actually what shape, policy. And they fall into the policy discussions that we have with the PSCs to see how the syllabus can actually improve to make it more relevant to the young people. Then also we partnered with the Bank of Uganda, with the Stanbic Bank, to train these influencers and the app developers on how to monetize these applications. So in what we do there, we basically educate them and guide them on how they can actually market. You find somebody wants to be a blogger, but he wants to blog on everything. And one of the guidance we give them, focus on one item and become a master of it. For example, we all know that if Kasenene talks, Dr. Kasenene, he has marketed himself as the best doctor when it comes to issues of nutrition, for example, and health, diet, and all that stuff. You remember he's a doctor, but he can actually choose to write on many other things but he focuses on one. And we found that most of these influencers did not know about those things. So what we've done, we hire experts who come and guide them and teach them on how they can do market segmentation and how they can how they can craft their content to make sure that they earn good money from it. So hopefully with all those different channels we are putting in place, we should be able to see younger people using the internet to make money other than spending on the internet, dancing and just putting out content that does not help them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mujasi Samson, is your hand up? Mujasi Samson?
No, my hand is not up.
Okay. If there are no questions, then I suggest that we...
Before you cross, Maureen, I wanted to basically hear from if there is anyone here that actually has ever been hacked, or from the things I've shared, if they have experienced scenarios and certainly how they have actually, managed to get out of it. Either you've been called by somebody saying, I'm from UCC, I'm from MTN, I'm going to switch off. Have you, any person here, been actually, a victim of digital fraud and scam? If there is none,
like Jenny says here, the Visionaries are quite a very robust group. These days, probably scam the scammers. Anyway, that's just a joke. Yeah.
No. I actually wanted to say that it means that the Visionaries are actually switched on. They are using the platforms very well, and they are basically alert.
No. But I don't know. I think what disturbs my mind is that these scammers, some of them, the trending scam now is somebody calls you and says, we're about to switch off your line, right? If you don't do ABCD, and is using a registered number. So the question is, what is UCC doing in following up such cases? The person is registered on your line, with your system, and is scamming people openly. Is there a way you can create a hotline so that when such a scam is happening, you can relay the message live to the UCC so that the matter can be followed up and remedial action taken? Otherwise, if we leave it the way it is happening now, maybe the unsuspecting people will be losing a lot. I'm just thinking aloud.
Yeah, that's a good one, Bwana Sam. One, the Commission has launched a tool called Simu Kiria. Maybe if anybody has in your free time, just the website is simu.ucc.co.ug. Simu as in SIMU, simu.ucc.co.ug. Just report the number that is has called you, has scammed you, has done what. Then it will be picked up in the back end, and we will do a follow-up. I really request that dear Visionaries get some time to log in that application, and you'll give me feedback later, and we discuss. But also, these indeed the numbers are registered, but you find the challenge that we are facing today is that the numbers they are using do not belong to the people holding the numbers. I don't know if I'm clear on that. I will give you a scenario. I personally moved to Mbale, Soroti, Iganga, and Jinja. In 2 days, I was able to register more than 50 numbers. I collected them myself. How did I do it? Reach Mbale town, Mbale city, you announce that you have 20,000, but you don't have a national ID. Whoever gives you a line that is registered, and you pay him 20,000, you will collect SIM cards, and you can fill a whole basket of SIM cards. Because Ugandans, they think about today, they don't think about tomorrow. They actually do not care. Wow, you want to use the SIM card? What the SIM card is going to be used for will come later. You get what I mean? So, what we did first is to make sure that the SIM card is registered. So what these guys do, they just go to the shops, register a second and a third SIM card. They're happy to do that, and they sell the SIM cards. They're happy to do that. At 20,000, they can sell a SIM card. And these are the SIM cards that these Bafere are actually using. So what we are doing now with this SIM career tool that the gentleman is showing here, when you give us a number and you report, let's say report fraud, and you put the number there, we pick it up, and then in the back end in the system, it helps a lot in the tracking. Now the interface that we have in the back end, the customer will not know. The moment we pick it, it becomes also very easy for investigators to actually follow this Bafere, because it looks at patterns. It looks at patterns, and this tool helps us not only to fight Bafere, but also stolen phones. If somebody grabs your phone today and you report it there, what happens? In most cases, you find that the thief who has picked a phone from you, he also has a phone. Or maybe he's on a border. And what happens with this system, it matches the line that is moving against your phone or against your SIM card, because they are picking networks. So you find that the person has grabbed the phone from Ntinda, then he has moved, he picks the next network, he's in Nigeria, he's in Bulindo, he's in, so this system can actually look at the next number, what a possibility is there that your number is matched against another number, and they are moving together like marrieds. They all move, pick the next network, pick the next network, pick the next network. Then what the system does, after doing that matching, then it looks at the other numbers that are connected with the number, the other number that is moving against your number. And in the process, that's how actually we use the police now to start tracking down these thieves. But back to your point, yes, the SIM card is registered. Yes, because it's a requirement. We had to make sure that every SIM card that is on the market in Uganda must be traced to the owner. But as sometimes we do investigations, you go, somebody has committed a crime, you follow up, you check the registration, you find the registration is somebody who is, let's say, in Ikumi, is even blind, but the crime was committed in Kampala, in its ZASS here. You follow up with the details of the registration. Then you find that the owner of the national ID is maybe a disabled person somewhere deep in the village in Karamoja. So it is a challenge that we face as a commission, and that's why we're coming up with such a tools like Simukiria to help us in tracking and bring it down, so that we don't trace and track the number that has committed a crime, but we also relate to the person who's having another line and is seated with the other number that is committing a crime. That's what Simukiria does. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think I saw a hand from Uncle Patrick. Uncle Patrick, please go ahead.
No, mine was just to show some appreciation, and I see our chair is back, and like he has rightly said, he perhaps got the last 5 minutes at the end. Just in case I miss it, just to say thank you. A special word of appreciation goes to our guest, Speaker Kenneth, for the insightful and thought-provoking presentation on professional integrity and consumer advocacy in the digital age. So your practical examples, professional experiences and guidance have truly enlightened us on the importance of responsible digital citizenship, integrity, and ethical conduct in today's connected world. So to all our members, I'm not concluding though, and participants who tuned in virtually from different parts of the world, thank you for your active participation, engagement, and commitment to the vision of ZASS. So your presence made this session meaningful and impactful. May we continue to uphold professionalism, honesty, unity, integrity, both online and offline. So on behalf of our chair, if he doesn't have the chance to say it, thank you all and stay safe and have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you. Thank you, Uncle Patrick.
Thank you, Uncle Patrick. That being said, I think we can conclude our session. As the visionaries, we have learned a lot. The session has really been educative, created awareness for us, and we hope to continue learning, growing, and working together for the success of the ZASS Foundation. So as we end the session, I would like to request a volunteer who can lead us in the closing prayer. Any volunteer to lead us through the closing prayer? Okay, if there's no volunteer, I'll volunteer to pray. Let's humble ourselves. Dear Father, we thank you for... Is Kevin's hand up? Kevin? Okay.
You can continue.
Okay. Dear Father, we want to thank you for guiding us throughout this mentorship session. We thank you for the knowledge shared by our guest mentor, Mr. Kenneth, and the lessons we've learned. We pray that the insights gained today will help us grow in our integrity, wisdom, and professionalism. We ask that you guide us as we depart back to our homes. May we arrive safely. In Jesus' name I believe and pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And good evening.
Amen.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, all of you.
Hi, Kukudaina.
Hi. I was late. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Thank you, Mama D and Maureen, for chairing this. Well done, Maureen, and your team.
Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome.
For those who have notification, it's available on YouTube.
Carol, you are right in the minute. It's all.